Okay, so I'm just commenting on a recent article by Michael Yardney. So Michael Yardney's been a property expert in the Australian property market for many years. They have really good information and commentary on what's happening in the current market. This was 3 fun facts about the current property market, and I think it's really relevant for those of you that are looking for advice and trying to understand what's really happening in the current property cycle. So if you'd like to look at the facts and take the facts and not the media's point of view, what's really happening in the Australian property market? And the fact is, we're really entering a new phase of the property clock and the cycle that we're currently in. So fun fact number 1 is there's about 10.9 million residential properties currently in Australia, and their value is currently sitting at about $9.6 trillion, which is quite a large portion. So when we say the Australian property market, it's a very high net worth market. It's a very large property market. So the interesting thing is the debt on that 9.6 trillion is only around about $2.2 trillion. So that means that of every dollar worth of Australian property, there's only about 23% of that it currently has debt against it. So when you look at the LVR or the ratio, there's a high percentage of owner-occupiers that own their properties without any debt associated with the property as well. So when we talk about these higher interest rates and the mortgage cliff and all those sort of things, yes, they are certainly relevant to a portion of homeowners, but it's only, in the reality is, it's only really a small portion, because over 3/4 of the property value doesn't have a debt against it. So fun fact number 2 is Australia's population is growing at some of the strongest figures on record. So the Australian population just surpassed 26.5 million people. The Australian government in this current calendar year has approved 200,000 permanent immigrants into Australia. The forecast is we're going to grow our population this year by somewhere between 300,000 to 400,000 people. And that's going to continue over the next 5 years. Now we've moved on from COVID and we're getting international population base back into Australia. International students are coming back into Australia. And there's really a strong demand on property. And if you look at the numbers, we're building less properties than we were 2 years ago. When you look at the number of approvals, we've actually got stronger population growth. And that's really what the fundamentals of the property market and what's going to protect it and what's going to give those that own property or investing in property great growth over the next few years. And of course, that strong immigration growth is likely to continue for some years, as the Australian government has already forecast those sort of numbers that we could expect. And with that shortage of housing, that's going to really underpin a shortage of current housing stock. So whether you're renting a property or owning a property, those rents are only going to continue to rise. And we've seen some amazing increases in rental incomes over the last 12 to 18 months. And unfortunately for those in the rental market, I think that's only going to continue as there's more pressure on the current properties listed for rent. And we're seeing that in the vacancy rates. And vacancy rates in most of the capital cities now around that 1%, so historically very low. Of course, these numbers will underpin our Australian property market, our economy. As these immigrants coming into Australia, they need to set up new households. They'll either have to rent a property or buy a property. Fun fact number 3, the statistics are in from all the research houses, and property prices have continued to rise over June. And that's 5 consecutive months of property price increases. So again, go back to the facts and the statistics, look at the CoreLogic data that have just been released for the June month, and all the capital cities around Australia have been in positive growth territory. So we saw that slowing of the economy and the property market several months ago with those strong increases in interest rates, and now that interest rates are starting to plateau and flatten out, we're seeing very good growth in the property market, and we're seeing that consistent growth. Another fact to consider is auction clearance rates. Again, auction clearance rates are starting to increase as more and more properties coming to market and selling on auction day. So that's great news. So I hope that's helped everyone that's a bit unsure, listening to a lot of different media and reports about the property market, unsure whether they should be buying or selling or sitting on their current portfolio. These facts and figures really point towards what's really happening in the Australian property market. So I hope that's helped, and see you on the next edition. Thanks.